Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to the Stay at Home Show. I'm on segment 2, and segment 2 is all about you. I'm going to talk about our Canadian self-assessment tool, the online self-assessment tool. We are going to talk about employment insurance, or EI, and emergency benefits. We are going to talk about some scams that are going around and things to just be aware of. And we're going to talk also about what is available in the St. John community to help people. So let's start out. Any who have tuned into the previous stream will know that I'm still having a few minor technical issues as I figure out how to go about this process. So into infinity mode for a moment. Like, this worked when I tested it without going to infinity mode. I could just switch to my desktop, but I will figure this out. So we have here the COVID-19 symptom self-assessment tool. And this is the same that we have already seen linked before. And also this is linked, everything I talk about in this segment will be linked down in the description. So I'm just going to go through this. Let's do it. Select the language. English. What province or territory? I am in, I'm not in Alberta. I am in New Brunswick. New Brunswick has established a province-specific, very good, available on the Government of Brunswick website. Please use that tool for province-specific information and resources. Okay. All right, let's go to that then. Let's go to that. COVID-19 self-assessment. Coronavirus exposure. Read each statement from top to bottom. Select the first one that matches your symptoms to find out what to do. Get help now if severe trouble breathing. Bluish lips or face. You think patient has life-threatening emergency. Short of breath even at rest. Moderate trouble breathing. Speak in short phrases. Cannot lie down because of trouble breathing. Current breathing trouble is keeping you from managing your chronic health conditions. So what happens if we click on one of these? Call ER now, options. Okay. So it just gives me right to the options. Get help soon if returned from travel outside of Canada, close contact with confirmed patient, or close contact with a sick person who has returned from outside of Canada within 14 days of your symptoms. Return from travel outside of Canada in the past 14 days and has symptoms of cough, fever, or mild trouble breathing. Close contact with confirmed COVID patient within 14 days of your symptoms. See, this is why good English is important, folks. I don't know what the within 14 days of your symptoms is. Oh, okay. So if you have symptoms, so I see this was a list of symptoms. I was looking for a list of symptoms and I saw return from travel. So I thought, okay, that is something. But if you have any symptoms of sickness and you've returned from travel in the last 14 days and you have these symptoms, okay, this one is clear. But if you have close contact with a COVID-19 patient. I think this should be their symptoms. Close contact with a COVID patient within 14 days of their symptoms. So if 10 days ago you met a person who was sick with COVID-19, or wait, if somebody was sick with COVID-19 10 days ago, they have not had symptoms in 10 days, they should still be quarantined. And if you have contact with them, then you need to get help soon. If you also have symptoms, if you don't have any symptoms, should you not just self-isolate? Close contact with a sick person who has returned from travel outside of Canada within 14 days. That seems to me the same with this. Oh, if you have returned from travel and you have symptoms, or if you have close contact with a person who has returned from travel and has symptoms. Very good. The center one kind of confuses me. But I think it means if you have had contact with a COVID patient within 14 days of that person having had any symptoms. If you have had contact with a confirmed COVID patient, then you should be talking to authorities about being tested. No symptoms. Care at home if you don't have any symptoms. Care at home if you don't have any symptoms, but you have had close contact with a COVID patient within the last 14 days. So if you have symptoms of these and you have had close contact with a COVID patient within 2 weeks of when your symptoms showed up. Aha, I understand it now. So if you have these symptoms and they showed up less than 2 weeks after contact with a COVID-19 patient, maybe that's not unclear. Maybe that's just stupid. Maybe I'm just stupid, I mean. I don't want to undercut the work that somebody has put in on making this at a time when everybody has to be locked down and in their homes. So care at home if no symptoms but you've had contact with a COVID patient. Care at home if you have no symptoms but you have traveled outside of Canada and isolate at home in that case. Send somebody else out, not in your home, but ask somebody outside your home to get groceries and so on. And if you have no symptoms, but you live with a person who has traveled outside of Canada, so you should also stay at home in that case. Okay, so that's the New Brunswick self-assessment tool. What if I click on this? What will it say? Oh, it gives me the number to call 811. How come it doesn't let me go back? How come it won't let me go back? Is this now thinking that I have the disease and so it's locked onto me and trying to identify me? So I lost the New Brunswick tool, but that was the whole New Brunswick tool. It was just a checklist of asking you what your symptoms are. Let's go back to the national tool and just see here. Self-assessment tool to determine if you need to be tested. Who should be tested? People with respiratory symptoms who are hospitalized, or healthcare workers, residents of long-term care facilities, or part of an investigation of a cluster or outbreak. So yes, not everybody can be tested. There's not enough tests. Who does not need to be tested? People without symptoms, of course. Patients with mild respiratory symptoms. Respiratory is breathing symptoms, people with mild symptoms who can be managed at home, including returning travelers with an onset of illness within 14 days. So if somebody is feeling symptoms but they're not having severe issues, now I almost don't want to click yes on this now to see what happens, because I feel like there may be some data collection going on if I were to click yes. Anyway, are you experiencing any of the following: severe difficulty breathing, chest pain, very hard time waking up? All the time. All the time. Feeling confused often enough. Losing consciousness every night. Okay, jokes aside, losing consciousness, you should, if you are losing consciousness, this means either you are suddenly going out similar to being asleep, or it could also mean that you are losing chunks of time. Maybe you're sitting on the couch and suddenly it's like 5 minutes later than it should have been or something. In cases like that, you should contact, in any of these cases, you should contact a doctor anyway. Well, I don't know about having a hard time waking up. Maybe you should contact Tim Hortons in usual cases for that. But here, I'll say no. Are you experiencing any of the following: shortness of breath at rest, inability to lie down because of difficulty breathing, chronic health conditions? Chronic is returning over time, so chronic health conditions or regular health conditions that I am having difficulty managing because of difficulty breathing. No, I am not. Am I experiencing any of these: fever, cough, sneezing, sore throat, difficulty breathing? No. Have you traveled to any countries outside of Canada in 14 days? No. Travel includes passing through an airport. So I suppose if you are traveling, if you had traveled from St. John to Toronto, and for some reason your airplane went from St. John to Boston, and you change flights in Boston and then travel to Toronto, this is travel outside of Canada. Did you provide care or close contact with a COVID-19 probable or confirmed patient? Confirmed, we know for sure they have it. Probable, we think maybe they have it. And here is a definition of close contact in relation to a patient: provided care for, lived with, or had direct contact with infectious bodily fluids. No. Did you have close contact with a person who has traveled outside of Canada? I can stop. Oh wait, no. Close contact with, not me. Who has become ill? I don't think anybody I know has become ill. I hope that none of you have become ill. Since you don't have any most of the people I'm in contact with now have been here for a little bit. Since you don't have any COVID-19 symptoms, you don't need to be tested. Huzzah! Well, the national one was more fun. The provincial one, oh, I already closed it. The provincial one seems much more about how to respond to specific symptoms and what to do in specific cases. This one is a listing of simple symptom type questions and situation type questions that gives you a result at the end that tells you if you're doing okay or what you should do. So very good. Let's now go back to infinity view, go back to camera view. This show, the stay-at-home show, is a work in progress, and so I apologize for the high contrast, the very bright lights behind me and the dark image here. As I get more used to my setup, it's going to be, I'm going to be able to take care of things like that. Now I'm going to talk for a couple minutes about, I'm going to have a sip. Okay, now I'll talk with you for a couple minutes about benefits that are available as they become more into infinity view and into, here we go, benefits that are available as so many things are locked down and places are temporarily shutting down, so people are being laid off, businesses need to close. So CBC has an article here about how to apply for EI, employment insurance, and how to apply for COVID-19 emergency benefits. There are different kinds of benefits. We're not going to read the whole article here, but we are going to read a few sections. The introduction just tells us a little bit about what the whole thing is. Who qualifies for EI, for employment insurance? Whether you qualify or not will still depend on your specific situation, and such as the number of hours that you have worked in the last 52 weeks. The government recommends that people should apply as soon as possible to find out if they qualify. Waiting more than 4 weeks after your last day of work means that you could lose benefits. And of course, waiting any time after your last day of work means that you don't have money coming in. So EI it's essential to get on that quick if you qualify for it. To receive regular EI, you must have lost your job through no fault of your own, including layoffs. So basically, if you do a poor job and you're asked to leave, you don't qualify for employment insurance. If the business has to send everybody home because of a pandemic disease outbreak, then you have lost your job through no fault of your own, and therefore you qualify for EI. Further, EI sickness benefits include being unable to work because of illness or quarantine. So the 1 week waiting period for sickness benefits, there's a 1 week waiting period for sickness benefits, will be removed for those who have been told to self-isolate or quarantine, meaning applicants can be paid for the first week of their claim. The maximum amount paid out for EI is $573 a week. That is the maximum amount, not the amount that people get depend entirely on how much they earn and some kind of black magic mathematics that they do in whoever does EI, Minister of Employment. Anyway, moving on. How do I apply? You need a medical certificate along with records of employment, usually, though the new rules allow quarantined workers to apply without the former. I think the medical certificate is not how to apply for EI. I think it's how to apply for EI sickness benefits. If you can't apply because you're quarantined, you can also file for EI sickness benefits later and have the claim backdated. If you file later, the money starts coming in later. To apply for EI benefits, you can visit this website, and you can then apply to have the 1 week waiting period removed by calling this number if you are sick. And you can apply in person at Service Canada. But of course, if you're experiencing symptoms of any sickness, you should not apply for anything in person. What if I don't qualify for EI? The federal aid package also includes the emergency care benefit and emergency support benefit. The emergency care benefit provides up to $900 every 2 weeks for up to 15 weeks to those affected by COVID-19. It's intended for those who don't qualify for EI, can't go to work, and don't have paid sick leave. So if somebody is sick and maybe maybe they don't have a job for whatever reason. Somebody is sick, don't have a job, or they have not had a job long enough, and they now have to self-quarantine, then this counts. The reference to paid sick leave worries me a little bit, because if you are off for sickness, I thought EI sickness benefits means you can't work because you're sick. I suppose EI sickness benefits asks you to use up sick time prior to accessing this, which is kind of too bad, because if somebody gets sick with COVID, they're going to burn through all of their sick time for the year instantly. Well, obviously it will take the amount of days that is their sick time, but they will burn through all of it. What if I don't qualify? Workers, including the self-employed. So I know people who run their own businesses who are quarantined or sick with COVID can apply. The emergency support benefit will give money to workers ineligible for EI who face unemployment. That's what we've just seen. And we have a bunch of numbers about how much money is being given in total. So that is about how to apply. Let's get back to Infinity mode and back to here. And let me just take a look at what we got coming up next. Oh yes. I would like to talk for a couple minutes. Oh, we're already at the 20-minute mark. We're going to talk very quickly about the next couple things. We're going to talk about Red Cross warns of COVID-19 scam. I bring back up Infinity, just wanted to make sure I was on the right screen. An offer for face masks making its rounds via text, email, and social media. So the Red Cross is not offering masks for sale or giveaway. If you receive a text message claiming to be from the Red Cross, do not click the link. Here's a general good rule of thumb, a general just good principle to go by. If you get a link for anything in a text, don't click it. I don't know of any businesses that I know plenty of businesses that inform customers of things via text. But anytime, don't click links in texts unless you absolutely know for sure who the sender is, what the sender is. Let's go back to here. So that is one scam, but also we have, this is in England, but this, as soon as if scammers in one place know about doing something, scammers in another place may try it. So some examples: pretending to be Red Cross volunteers, being offered help with grocery shopping by people who take their money and do not come back. There are lots of ways to be able to get your groceries if you need some help getting groceries. We'll be talking about that in a little bit here. Following reports on social media. Oh, that's not thought that was an example of a scam. Yes, here we go. Offering coronavirus tests to the public. So we looked at the online assessment tools that let us know whether or not we should be doing something more than just staying at home and staying away from crowds. Nobody is distributing tests to the public and random volunteers. The tests are expensive. Members of the public who come across this kind of scam have been told to call the police. Let them know that there is a scam. We have people, we've already seen that, shopping, taking money to go shopping. But here's the thing, it's people knocking on the doors of the elderly and vulnerable individuals. I don't like knocking on their doors randomly. Like, I would be weird about giving money to somebody who randomly knocks on my door. Anyway, they are not utilizing a postcard system. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the postcards means. Cards are being put through doors. Oh, I see. That they're putting postcards through doors offering different kinds of help. So the British Red Cross are not doing that. When you see something offering help, there's a lot of helpful people right now, and there's a lot of people who are stepping up to try to make this easier for everybody. But in any group of people, there's always going to be somebody who has bad intentions. So in any situation where you see information about the situation, about staying healthy, about resources that you have available to you, including the links that I've provided and including what I'm talking about here now, always keep in mind that people can be wrong about anything, and of course there are always the shady people. There are always the shady people somewhere hidden in the group. This number is not for us, this number is for England. Reports of people pretending to be offering coronavirus tests. So we've already saw that one. Okay, so a couple examples then. People are not offering coronavirus tests. People are not offering from the Red Cross to take people's groceries, get people's groceries, so watch out for just strangers who say, hey, give me your money and I'll buy what you need. And Red Cross is not selling masks online or in any kind of giveaway. Let's go back to Infinity View here. And here we go. I've got one more story to cover here, and maybe I'll save that till the next section. So in the next section, which will be coming up here in about 20 minutes, so let's say at about 10 to 7, the next section coming up at 10 to 7, I will be discussing, just get my information up here, I'm sorry. In the next section at 10 to 7, I will be discussing some resources that are available to us in the St. John community for just any kind of help that we may need for anything, if we are locked down or if we have some just anything we need. We'll see what it is here in a little bit. We'll be talking about some authors, a list of authors who are reading children's books online. We'll take a look at those. And we'll be talking a little bit about the Decorah Eagles. So there's less things to talk about with the next section, and hopefully the next section will be appropriately short at 20 minutes. So that is it for segment 2 of the Stay at Home show, and thank you very much for staying at home with me, and I will see you in the next segment.